Hello everybody, this is a review of both the Navimow i110 mower and Segway's Navimow Flex subscription service. This video isn't sponsored and I paid for this with my own money, so if you find this video helpful and saves you time or money, please consider funding this video through PayPal or the trusted online tip service, BuyMeACoffee. There's links in the description as well as affiliate links that are relevant to this video, and I thank you for your support. This is a real-world test near Cleveland, Ohio. In this video, I'm gonna tell you about my experience about the mower, its pros, its cons, and why I ultimately decided to send it back and stop the monthly subscription service. Then I'll review Segway's monthly subscription service. There's not a lot of info on it out there, and ultimately that's the main reason why I'm doing this video. I'll put timestamps in the video description, so if you want to jump ahead, you can. But first, let's talk about my yard. My yard is just under, if not exactly, a quarter of an acre. For the Segway Navimow to work, I had to get the i10 model. It's exactly the same mower as the cheaper i105, except it has a bigger battery and can mow up to a quarter of an acre. My yard has some challenges. Mainly the backyard is gated shut, but I was able to have the mower drive through the open gates to mow. I have a dog, but I have her contained in a no-dig fence, so I'm able to leave the gates open to let the mower go in and do its thing. I also have two large river birch trees. If you don't know, they are constantly self-pruning themselves, so sticks and leaves are always being dropped. It's kind of a spoiler. The reason why I wanted to try this is to see if I should buy a robot mower or to get a riding lawn mower. When I saw the Segway offered a subscription service, I felt like now's a good time to try without being out $1,300 to purchase, because if this worked out for me, then I wouldn't have to spend double that or more on a riding lawnmower. Setup. I'm not going to fully talk about the setup because, to be honest, Segway's videos are great. They really didn't leave anything out except for a few real-life quirks. There is no boundary wire, which is a plus. It relies on Wi-Fi and GPS. The Navimow says the base station has to be set up about 6 feet away from the house, and I believe antenna was supposed to be 10 foot. For me, I thought my yard would be different for the base station because I have sky all around the house except for against the house. And when I tried to install the base station against the house, where it made the most sense, of course, it didn't work. And I had to keep moving it away from the house until I got a signal. As you can see, your base station will kind of be in the middle of your yard. For this test, I ran an outdoor extension cord as a temporary power solution. If it all went well, I would have installed a permanent outdoor plug on the side of my home. A big tip for this, don't stake anything down or even level your base station until you know you have a strong signal. I had to move this base station 3 times before I finally concluded Segway was right and it needs to be 6 foot away from the house for the base station to even get a signal, even if you have wide open spaces all around it. After I got a signal, it connects to Wi-Fi and updates its firmware. It was quick, it was fine. And then you get to control it like a very slow radio controlled car to set your boundaries. During that, you get to see how powerful the Navimow is and to test its traction, and that process was revealing. For the boundaries, you can choose standard boundaries and you'll get your mower within the boundaries you set. If I had to set it up again, I would have taken more time to put the mower right up to the boundary, because in some areas where it mowed, I noticed it kept the mower inside that boundary, just as the name says, but I was left with an extra 2 or so inches to edge later, so take your time and get it right up against the edges. The Navimow also lets you choose ride-on boundary, where it claims it can straddle between a hard surface and your lawn. If you have any more than a 1/2 inch difference, I do not see this being reliable. In my test, it got stuck because of the lack of power and traction. And let's talk about traction here. It has a hard time on things like small dips. One example, when I was setting up my boundary, I had a dip in the yard near the fence where a rabbit dug a small hole under the fence and it hit that and got stuck. When I backed it up, I just set it up to go around it. There'll probably be parts like that in your yard that you'll need some dirt to fill some dips. The traction isn't great because while you see 2 giant wheels, that's the only thing driving it. The rear wheels are 2 caster wheels that just keeps the mower as level as possible. This wasn't a deal breaker for me, it's just something for you to consider. Once the boundary was set in one zone, I hit mow and it did its thing. I'll come back to the speed and the cut quality after I talk about zones. You set up the mower to mow in zones. For me, I had 6 zones. The front yard was one, the section by the street was another. Then when you set up a new zone, you basically create a digital road for it, and it will always use that path to get from one zone to the next zone, so they're all connected. For me, because my dog had a no-dig fence containing her, I just simply opened the gates and programmed it to drive through the gate to start mowing. She loved the mower, by the way. You can set up a zone, for example, in your backyard and tell it you're going to physically move the mower into that area and it'll mow it. The middle area in my backyard was always an area I was going to mow with a push mower, but if I wanted to, I could tell the app to mow, then lift the mower into that zone and it would have mowed that section. If you've ever had a Roomba and just picked up the thing and dropped it in a room and turned it on and shut the door, same concept, but with this mower you just have to set the boundary first. The setup is a one-time thing, just so it'll know where it's at all times. That drop zone solution will work for you, but just make sure that the mower can get the entire area mowed on a single charge, or it'll just be dead there until you go out, pick it up, and put it back on a charger, because it has no way to get back to the base station. For me, this wasn't a deal breaker either. Opening the gates before I went to work was easy enough, and because it was a white picket fence from the street, it really wasn't obvious the gates were open. Cut quality. I'm going to compare it to a standard push mower, and the quality is, well, different. It's not bad, it's just different. First off, our brains are used to seeing 20-inch stripes or larger in a yard. The Navimow leaves 8-inch sort of stripe indents and 2 squiggly lines behind it. This is going back to the caster wheels because they're being dragged and they just spin freely. Also, this model weighs 25 pounds versus an 80-pound mower. The yard looks mowed, but in a different way. Imagine being a master with a string trimmer and you can cut your lawn exactly at 3 inches. Or whatever height you set it to. In the end, it looks more like a trimmed lawn versus a mowed lawn. Yet again, not a deal breaker for me. It just needs to be said. The overall look is different than we're all used to. Because I mowed the lawn every other day, it did a good job on keeping everything trimmed, but it did on occasion drive over taller blades of grass and didn't clip. If you compare it to a normal push mower, the push mower has somewhat of a vacuum quality like to it, where it lifts the blades then cut. And being a smaller mower, running low on power, and cutting with 3 razor blades, it doesn't have that suction power at all. And in its defense, when it mows the next time in a few days, odds are it will get the straggler, because each time it mows, it changes its directions way more than we do. For example, the first time it mows, it'll mow side to side, then the next time up and down, then diagonal in one direction, and then the next time they'll mow diagonal in a whole nother direction. So if you mow every other day with the robot mower, your yard is basically getting mowed 3 times in 3 different directions versus 1 time with a push mower. I did a comparison here. I set the Navimow at 3 inches and my Honda self-propelled mower at 3 inches, both on mulch. I mowed the section with the Navimow, and then I mowed the section right next to it in the same direction for a side-by-side comparison. I was ready here to say the push mower was hands down the winner, and while the push mower was the winner in terms of cut quality and overall look, in my opinion, it wasn't a case closed moment. I will say though, if I mowed a larger section and stepped back, the area I cut with a push mower would be dramatically better in terms of overall look. I went back to this concept to show you. Here's a shot of the front yard after being mowed with the Navimow. This is right after it was mowed. And then 1 week later, this is what it looks like with my 3-year-old Honda self-propelled mower with dull blades. So I know it's totally different mowers, but it wasn't a brand new mower versus a brand new mower. This was a brand new Navimow mower versus a 3-year-old powerful mower, but also with dull blades. I think the push mower has a better look. If I said my push mower had a cut quality and look rating of 9 out of 10, the Navimow would probably be about a 6.5 out of 10. Going back to what I said, it's not bad, it's just different. Edging is something you have to do with a push mower, a robot mower, or a riding mower. But with the Navimow, you'll have to edge more because you're not just edging around the fence, you're edging around the entire boundary of each of your zones. Like the areas you straddle between concrete and lawn with your push or riding lawn mower, you have to edge those too because, like I said, it doesn't straddle those positions that well. I knew this going into it, and again, not a deal breaker. I'm not complaining. When I mowed this lawn with a push mower, it was taking me about an hour and a half plus edging. So using the i110 and only having to edge 10 minutes was great. Mowing time. If you watch a lot of these videos online, the reviewers or influencers are speeding up the video. My video is unaltered here. It is real time. And before I packed it up and canceled the subscription, I had it mow my entire yard. I had 10,000 square foot mapped out and it took 12 hours. Every 2 hours or so, it goes back to charge. So charging time and mowing time really added up here. In this test, it was mowing diagonally, which takes the longest in my yard and probably in any yards because it takes a while for it to stop and turn around. So again, in comparison, 10,000 square foot took 12 hours to mow with the Navimow i110. I think if it had a better path, it might be at maybe 10.5 hours to 12 hours. Also remember, this is a brand new mower with a brand new battery, so down the road it might need to charge a little bit more. So it's safe to say 1 hour per 1,000 square foot. A week later, when I mowed with my standard push mower, set on 3 inches and mulching, and I did my whole yard, the exact same boundaries, and I wasn't setting any speed records myself, mulching that took me 1 hour. So this takes 10 times longer to mow. I'm not complaining. I didn't have to go out there and mow. I'm just saying this is how long it takes. About 1 hour per 1,000 square foot in my testing. The Navimow worked great, but it started acting up when I was filming it. Maybe it's shy here. I was hovering over it, so it might have seen me in the camera, and it started doing weird things. I put my camera on top of it, and it did not like that. So look at this great footage anyways. I'm an idiot. Mowing at night. It is possible, but the cut quality takes a hit from what I saw. It turns on a light, and I don't think it can see too well in the dark. So when it got dark, it mowed even slower and probably took even twice as long. The lines in the morning were kind of all over the place, but it did work. It did kind of stay on its path, so if you want to go to bed and have your mower cut your lawn in the backyard, you can. Slopes. My backyard slopes about 12 degrees, spanning 25 foot or so in the backyard. This wasn't an issue. If Segway says nothing over, I believe, 17 degrees, there's a reason why they say it. I think it would drain the battery quickly, and it's underpowered for anything steeper than that. So if you have big slopes, more than 17 degrees, again, there's a reason why Segway is telling you 17 degrees, so I would trust them on that. Reasons why I decided against it. I haven't given you the reasons why I decided that the Navimow i110 mower didn't work out for me. There wasn't an obvious deal breaker until I started thinking about the cost and what's to come in the future in terms of my lawn. Remember those river birch trees I was talking about? Come fall, they're going to drop branches and leaves. This robot mower, or any robot mower, won't operate correctly in that scenario. Even in my test, when I hit a small stick that my push mower would just go right over and break up, the Navimow rode over it and then kind of just drag it along and go even a little bit slower, and the stick would only get past it when the stick hit the ground a certain way, and then it just released itself. I thought this mower would have a little bit more power, a little bit more traction. I thought the blades would chop through some leaves, so even if I had to mow the last couple times in the cool fall season, I would have been okay. In my scenario, I just see the Navimow i110 mower as a secondary mower that could mow my lawn from May until early September or so, leaving me to push mow my lawn in April, September, and October. So I think it would have been a great mower, but only half of the time. Another reason is the cost. The Navimow i110 is $1,300. Also, if this was a long-term solution, I would have either had to build a garage for it or pay another $200 for it. Right now it's Father's Day and there is a sale. The i105 is $850 and the i110 is $1,100. So if you're wondering if these ever go on sale and for how much, this is what it was, at least for Father's Day. Even the $200 off wouldn't compete with the long-term solution of a more powerful and versatile riding lawnmower. I know that comparison isn't fair in some ways, but financially, it is fair. I'm going to compare the sale price of the Navimow to the sale price of an electric riding mower. The Navimow plus the garage would be $1,300 on sale. An electric riding lawnmower would be $3,000 on sale. The Navimow has a 2-year warranty, leaving the total cost to $650 per year, and the riding lawnmower at $3,000 would have a 5-year warranty, and that cost would be $600 per year under warranty. At the end of the day, I can use the riding mower for the full season in Ohio and use it to mulch and bag the leaves that will soon cover my yard. The Navimow, I fear, would only keep up with my yard for half that time, but if the cost of the Navimow was less than $700, that might be enough for me to buy one and keep one. But right now the cost is still too high. For $1,000 more, Segway has models with more power, and some are even starting to do some edging. So maybe in 5 years, the cost of those will drop into this range, and maybe it would be an even tougher call. Subscription review. I did use my own money to test the Navimow i110, and I used their subscription service for $130 a month. I foot the bill, so send me a tip on PayPal. Buy me a coffee in the link if I saved you money or time. This isn't a rent-to-own option. It's a subscription service, so you pay X amount a month as long as you keep it. They do let you cancel any time, but with the lack of information on how the subscription works, I was my own guinea pig in testing. I have a few problems with this model Segway can fix as of right now, June 2025. There isn't any terms of service to be seen, so you can't read what the terms are. It kind of just feels like a handshake deal of, hey, we'll mail you the mower, you pay us the fee, and if it ever breaks, mail it back to us and we'll send you a new one. The perks are your mower is always under warranty, but that perk comes at a cost. I didn't subscribe to get the garage for the mower. That would add another $20 a month. So in total, it would be $150 a month to subscribe to get this service if I kept it with the garage. Besides the lack of terms of service, they don't let you know there's a $50 setup and shipping fee. So all in all, I paid $191 for 1 month after tax. In fairness, you do see the $50 fee when you add it to your cart, but this just felt like the first time it was like a, this is how they get you moment without the terms of service. And they say you can cancel any time, but I didn't know if there was going to be another $50 fee to mail it back. And I'll get back to that later. I did email support just to double check if I can cancel any time, and they got back to me quickly saying yes. But they didn't send any extra information like, a terms of service. After that, I decided to subscribe. So I put my credit card info in and I hit submit. Then the approval process. Because they don't exactly spell it out, there is an approval process. I just figured it meant once your credit card is approved, they'll take a look at it and approve it, but it was way more involved. It was like signing up for a mortgage. I had to send in a photo of my ID, connect the account to my bank account, and add a second credit card. Adding a second credit card was a step that was optional, but I figured I already sent in my banking information and thought if it was a way to improve my odds with a second card, then whatever. After I did this, it was submitted for approval, and after a few hours, I was approved. I'm sure several people wouldn't even go through that process because now that's the second time a curveball was thrown in the process because they don't spell it out for you. And it just felt like a lot of information to give them. I got the order confirmation that showed the order status. I was approved on a Friday afternoon, and I figured 3 business days it would be shipped out. So my estimation for that was Wednesday, but it was wrong because when I clicked to see my order status, it said, "We're sorry, this shipment is taking longer than expected." So I emailed support. They were friendly enough, and I had 2 emails come back to me, and one of them instructed me they ship it out within 5 to 7 business days, and I quote, "I'm on day 4. This probably would have made a few people mad because nothing was said in an email, like the standard things, like when you order, here's what's next. Nothing was sent, not a quick line in an email saying, thanks for your order. It will be shipped by whatever date. I was going off of, we're sorry, this is taking longer than expected. In my email, I gave them a friendly reminder. I paid $50 for shipping and figured some level of customer service to get it out in a timely manner. I did receive a $30 credit for my second month of service, and I didn't use it because I sent it back before that month, but it was a nice gesture. The next day, on business day number 5 or 6, I got an email with the shipping confirmation. It's worth noting the subscription does not start until the mower is delivered. Again, not stated in the terms of service that doesn't exist. It was shipped from California to Ohio, and I got it within 3 to 4 days, and that was fine. The mower I received was brand new. The subscription offers you a brand new or like brand new mower, and mine was new. Here's a tip. Whenever you buy or subscribe, keep the box and all of the packaging, because if something goes wrong or if you cancel, you have to ship it to Segway in the original box, or they will charge you to send a new box. So keep the box. I kept the box, and I was okay here. After 3 weeks, I decided the mower wasn't for me, and I canceled the service, and I was waiting for another fee. To my surprise, as of right now, there isn't one. I boxed it up, I put it in the mail, and that day I put it in the mail, the service was canceled. In the future, I'm going to guess they'll wait to inspect the box before they cancel, but they didn't this time around. So in the end, the $50 shipping and setup fee was fair, considering it probably cost $25 each way to ship. A lot of my service complaints could instantly be fixed by, you guessed it, a terms of service and a more detailed explanation of the approval process. It was like a mortgage, and I just bought a house. It was almost identical, like getting approved for a mortgage. And Segway is mailing you a $1,300 device and only charging you $130 for it. I understand that. They need to get some level of protection from people subscribing with like prepaid credit cards. I get it. But nothing was said until you're in the thick of things. One thing, with or without a terms of service, Segway can do is they can always increase the subscription rate just like streaming services do. Financially, they're probably hoping for customers to keep the subscription going even when they aren't mowing like in the winters in Ohio. In 2 years, a subscriber would have paid over $3,000 for a mower that could be purchased for less than half of that. The perk would be it would always be under warranty, but you could buy one each year and still be ahead versus subscribing. The company that handles the subscription is a company called Fragile. I got a random email to set up my subscription, and if I deleted that email that linked me to that page, I don't know how easy it would have been to find that page and actually control my subscription. So it's a little clunky, so don't delete that email and bookmark your subscription page. This subscription might be good for someone who needs a temporary solution to a problem, like they broke their leg and can't mow for a few months. They can subscribe, they can have someone set it up for them and they're good to go, or elderly people under the same scenario of having someone help them set it up. Or if they're going to pay someone more than $130 a month, it might be a deal. But remember, there's always edging to do. In the end, the subscription was a way for me to test it out and to decide between a robot mower or a riding mower. But like I said, in a few years, that gap might close between the two enough for me to go back. The Navimow i110 and subscription service both delivered what was actually promised. It just didn't feel like it at times. With a couple of improvements in firmware, the mower could be better. With a couple of improvements on the website, like a terms of service, the subscription would be better. So who is this mower for? I think that if you have a yard that's less than 1/4 of an acre, and you have a power solution for the base station, and you don't have trees or a fence, and you hate mowing, go for it. If you live in a climate that you have to mow more than 5 months a year and the leaves don't fall, this could be for you as well. I had fun with the mower, and I hope this review that went way too long helped you out. And if this helped you out, in the description there's a PayPal link to send me a tip or buy me a coffee, and let's try to pay off that $191 cost together. The links again are in the description, as well as other affiliate links that are directly related to this video. I was also left with a patch of dead grass under the base station, so it cost me about $200. Now, between this video, Segway videos, and your gut instinct, I think all of your questions are now answered. Thanks for watching, and remember, the subscription service does not have a terms of service.